Why is it so difficult to make a great movie?
I think that it's well, a lot of things. I mean, the one thing that we don't always have is time. So being able to make a movie that's, spectacular a lot of the time is time. You're shooting on short shoot schedules. If you have 100 days to shoot a movie, and you're only shooting like a scene a day and you're finessing it, I think it's probably easier. If you have the budget to get all the things you want, maybe it's easier. But it all actually comes down to taste, right? Like people have different things that resonate with them. It's much harder to find something that resonates with everybody. Exactly. But yeah, taste. There, for people listening, there was like a loud boom in the background. But yeah, taste definitely. I think is another factor.
What makes a great movie?
My dad used to tell me that a great movie is 3 amazing scenes and no bad scenes.
So there could be some mediocre scenes in there, but as long as there were 3 great ones?
3 great ones and no bad scenes.
Interesting.
I think that's probably right. There's certain movies that like you could just watch over and over and over again. For me, I mean, I feel like at any point there's like 3 movies that are fantastic that at no point of that movie would you ever, like if you saw it on TV and you've seen it before, you got Goodfellas, any point of Goodfellas, even if you've seen it a million times, if it's on TV, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this part, let's watch. Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, you can pick up at any point of those movies and be like engaged. I think that's the other thing is like movies being engaging. Like there's certain things where it's like, are you actively watching it? Like if you start to feel yourself drifting away from a movie, a really great movie will hold your attention even if you've had a bad day. Will hold your attention even if your phone's going off. You won't want to look at it. You're going to want to look at the movie. So I think that's harder now too because your phone's going off all the time. People have phones in their pockets. They're like, it's hard to grip people's attention. So I think it's important for it to be able to grip your attention.
Do you remember the first movie you watched with your dad?
I don't remember the first one I watched with him, but I think the most memorable movie for me when I watched with my dad was he took me to go see Kill Bill in theaters. I was like 12 years old. They didn't want to let me into the theater because like they said it was too violent. I remember like the manager came and was like, hey, do you really want to take your kid to see this? This is too violent. It's crazy. And my dad's like, yeah, of course. This is why I'm taking him to see it. So he took me to see the movie. And I remember sitting in the theater like this. I had like popcorn and I was like, I just like, as if I like had snuck into a movie. I'm like, I just got away with murder being here. So I'm like sitting, eating the movie, and it was just like mind-blowingly awesome, unbelievably so, because I just never like been told by all these people, oh, don't let him go into the movie. And I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna be great.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like that feeling of being able to see something that you weren't supposed to see. It was like that dangerous feeling, and yet everybody enjoyed it, and you're experiencing it. I thought that was really like it was one of the most memorable movie-going experiences of my life.
Very cool.
Kill Bill tattoo right here.
Oh, okay. Okay, wow. Oh, nice. It was almost like, when you go little kid and you have to be this tall to ride this ride. And they somehow said, okay, you can go on.
Yeah. And you're like, oh shit, am I going to fall off this thing? Yeah, exactly.
Is there a roadmap for making it in the movie industry?
I think that goes back to the DMX thing. Like, I think it's like, be the first you. I don't think there's a roadmap. I think there's places where you could see how people forged a trail that might be similar to the trail you want to forge, but like do things your way, I think that's the best way to look at it.
Okay, what about the saying like in order to change the system, you have to be part of the system? I realize that's like a different style of what I'm going with. It's more political, but can someone really come in as an individual to something that's already established?
Yeah, probably. I think, I I think talent has a lot to do with it. Like, you show off talent and stuff like that. But again, to quote my dad used to always say, in this business, you could either be oh so pleasant or oh so clever. And most times I recommend being pleasant. People like to work with the people they get along with. So I think get along with the people you're working with, and get along with, people you're around, and forge your trail. And, talent only gets you so far. It'll get you your foot in the door, but make sure you don't knock over people in that process. Like, people involved, your producers want to be heard. People want to understand that they're involved with this project, or your project. So I think keeping an open mind and keeping calm in difficult situations will serve you well.
If someone were to shadow you day in and day out, what would they learn?
I'm pretty silly. I'm very jokey on set. Like to keep like a light, silly environment. So I like to joke around. Most people like to laugh, so it's like if you're joking around with the people you're working with, and I take things seriously when I need to, but I'm very jokey with, the actors. We're joking around, we're talking about stuff. We'll talk about like football, baseball. We'll talk about whatever they want to talk about, as well as, what we have to accomplish for the day. So I think people would be surprised how silly and jokey I might be in circumstances when you would assume people wouldn't be, if that makes sense.
Sure. Well, I think if you keep the mood light, but you also show that you're taking the work seriously,
yeah,
it makes people less like scared.
Right. Yeah. So I try to find a balance between the two, And I think people would be surprised if they were shadowing how jokey a lot of it is.
But if someone were to shadow you day in and day out, let's say pre-production, production, post, what would they learn about making a movie?
I don't know. Maybe we should do another one where somebody shadows me.
Okay.
I don't know what they'd learn. Hopefully they'd learn things.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm a silly human being.
But you do take your work seriously.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Maybe you don't take yourself seriously, but you take your work.
Right. But I hopefully they'd learn things. Hopefully. I try to be as teaching to people, whoever wants to know things. I try to be helpful. I know that actually I mentioned this, but while I was filming in New Mexico, one of the background people was actually in the movie. They came up to me and were like, "Hey, I had watched all your Film Courage stuff," and I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "Did you watch it like right before the movie because of you knew you were going to be on this movie?" They're like, "No, I'd been watching it for like a few years," and I was like, "Oh wow, it was really cool." It was like really cool. They said they were going to make their movie. I said, "Cool, follow me on Instagram. Send me the movie when you make it. I want to watch it." So
that's really cool. Yeah, I love the one clip that we have with you where you talked about, working in, might have been a sandwich shop, and it was do you want a job or do you want to film?
Yeah. I was working at a sandwich shop.
But I know other people think you've told us over the years have reached out to you, and I think that's great.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's I'm a firm believer. Look, it's this film community. Even the difference between the movies I'm doing now and the movies I started off doing are so much closer than the movies I'm doing now in a Marvel movie. So it's
interesting when we tweet out or promote videos where people said they wanted to make their first feature before age 30. We get people get really upset about that, and I don't know why, because it's just that person's goal. It doesn't mean that's the rule.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people need to look at stuff as in a different way. You shouldn't look at yourself as you're in competition with other people. You shouldn't look at it as if this person did something before I did it, they're better than me. That's not necessarily true in any sense of the way. What you need to do is go, if this person was able to do it, that means I can do it too. It's possible, right? People going out there and making something, if they make a movie before they're 30, right? And you're 40 years old, that doesn't mean that person's better than you. That doesn't mean that person's more driven than you. It just means that the idea of being able to go out and make a movie is possible. And that should reinvigorate your dream. It should not make your dream feel like it's less than, or that you have failed. You have not failed until you accepted defeat. You have not failed until you have accepted that you are not going to be able to do what you believe you can do. Therefore, you should continue to push towards your goal and look at other people's success as an affirmation of what you want to do being possible.